Because when you open your Power BI desktop, the first thing that you want to do actually is to get data in, okay? The data that you want to report on, you need to connect to the source where the data resides and bring it in, and I believe we've spoken about this Power BI desktop interface and that of Power Query in our previous classes. Okay, so you've installed your Power BI desktop and you want to get data in. Your go-to is under Home. You see how you have File, Home, Insert, and those other buttons there. You want to go under Home, where under Home you have all of these many functions, and it's the Get Data that you need. Right beside the Get Data, you have a few buttons for option, but all of these, especially these next three options, are actually seated within the Get Data button. So say we want to get data down, we click on the drop down on that Get Data, and it opens a few sources straight on. Okay, it says common data sources. You have the Excel workbook if you want to get the Excel in. Okay, you click on that and it takes you straight to your folder where you can select the Excel workbook that you want to get in. Okay, let's say it's the data quality, software data quality. Okay, you bring that in and it opens this navigator, which we are used to seeing now. On that navigator, you would see the different tables within your Excel workbook. If there's one, you will see one. If there's more, you will see one. Whichever one it is that you need from that Excel workbook, you pick it. In this case, we've got just one from the one I picked. Okay, so you pick the one, and it depends on what you want to do. If you want to load directly, you click on load. If you want to transform means you need to do some extra work on the data set, then you transform. And if you want to cancel that process, like, okay, sorry, this is not what I need, you can cancel. Okay, most of the time it's recommended, not compulsory, but really recommended that you click on transform data so that you can have a look at any changes that you want to make, within your data set before you analyze it. Okay, so that is one source. Okay, let's say I'm going to close and apply this. So that's how you get Excel in. Let's say apart from the Excel workbook, now another option to get Excel workbook in is this one. Okay, that is still loading. So had it been that I didn't want to get my Excel workbook from this Get Data function, I might as well, or I can as well, click on this and it still gives me the same option. You can see the option it puts here, the file type or format. It says Excel, all of the different Excel formats there. Okay, so that is one data source, one way of bringing your data in. Power BI semantic model, if we click on it, it's saying you want to connect to a workspace where you have an existing model, an existing data set report, and of course the relationship that is with this. And you can, and we do have a workspace. That's why it's brought us here. Okay, so you can get data flows, and Power BI reports, data from the semantic models you've used to make reports before. This is my understanding of that. Okay, it says discover data from across your organization and use it to create reports. Okay. So normally for at work, it should normally ask you to sign in actually. Okay. It should ask you to sign in with your credentials so that the let's say row level security or the kind of security that has been put in place for you to only access the data sets that you should be accessing can restrict you to it. Okay, so let's say I'm picking that. I'm saying sales data classwork power PBI2. Okay, I click on that, and immediately I clicked on one at least. It says to connect to it. So that is a second one. And there's quite a few connect to your data. There's quite a few tables here. It says select the database of specific tables that you would like to connect to. Let me see. I can't remember what this is, but if I say sales data, if I click also, these are all different tables. If you can expand, those arrows, and see exactly what you want. Okay, let's say this is the one I want. I'm just going to be bringing in all of this data set. If I need more, of course, if I need more than the sales data, I can click on as much as possible that I need. And immediately I clicked on one of them, which is the sales data. Under the sales data, you can see brand name. These are all of the columns. I should explain that. These are all of the different columns that are within this sales data. Okay, if I expand another one, say products. Okay, under products, we have products category, products name, product subcategory. Many a time I might need to bring that in as well. If I do need to bring it in, of course, I'll check it. And, it's one of the ones that will be coming in. But because I'm just picking this for illustration purpose, I'll just pick sales data, submit it. And it's giving me a warning here. So there's a potential risk. Okay. When you add a second data source, information from one data source might be included in queries that are sent to other data sources. Only add another source if you trust the owners and admins with the data. Do you want to build this model? Yes. Okay. It's just warning me to be careful what I'm connecting to. Okay. So, and that just brings me, because it's already a report, I believe, it didn't go through Navigator Power Query before just loading the data. I just loaded it straight away. Okay. So, and that's how Power BI semantic models, how you can bring, connect to an already existing data set that has been published in the Power BI workspace. Okay. Okay. And then we have data flows, which is not very different from what we did before. Data flows are tables that you have built in what we would refer to as online Power Query. Okay. So this opens Navigator and is telling us to connect to the data flow, which workspace it is. Okay. So in this case, environment workspaces, if I expand the last one, okay, it's asking me for me to sign in with my credentials. I'm already signed in. It's organizational. If it was your proper work or one, you will have other options like organizational. I can't remember the other two or three options that would be there. Anonymous is one of them. Okay. But you would always need organizational. Since it says I'm already signed in, if this signing that it's referring to is not what I want, I will sign in as a different user. But I'm sure that it's what I want, so I'm going to just connect. And it's taking time. The current user isn't signed in. Okay, let me sign in then. Oh, I hope. Looks like my Microsoft is, you can return to the app. Feel free to close. I did this earlier. So normally it should bring me to, normally it should bring me to the workspace, and then I can connect to the tables which have been saved as data flows that I need to connect with. You would, pardon me, I hope I can sort that out, whatever is happening here. Why it's not letting me, it's just a sign in complete. You can return to the application. Feel free to close this browser, whatever that means. Okay, let me go into, okay, connect then. Aha, okay, now we are talking. So the workspace that we have is the SoftNet data analytics workspace. And these are the tables that are there that we have already, I've already put there before. So the Northwind data set table, which is a sales table, this is the table, and these are the different columns that are there for Northwind, or the sales data, whichever one I'm looking to bring in. Okay, I can click as much as possible. Okay, let's say again, I'm just saying, this is just for illustration. Let's say I bring the sales data in again. And if this time, if I want to transform further, I will transform. If I want to load, I'll load. I'm just going to click on load now because I want to show us other ways to bring in other data sources that we can bring data in from. Okay. So we've looked at Excel workbook, Power BI semantic models, data flow, okay, data vars. The only time I've used data vars was when I wanted to connect to a Dynamics 365 database. Okay, I don't have that here. Okay, you already signed. Let me just do that and see what it does. Okay. The current user isn't signed in. I'm very sure something is going on with my Microsoft, but we'll see. Okay, it says data vars, software default, something there. Let me click on that, see what it does. Yeah, so we do have something on Dynamics. I'm expecting this to open up, but it's not opening up. Okay. Connect. You would pardon most of the, especially this 365 Dynamics. I'm not too sure, that I actually have access to anything on it, to be honest. But that's how you would connect with it. I'm not going to stay long on that. So that we can look at other different ones. SQL. Okay, I do have an SQL server on here. So let's connect to SQL database. It's asking for my server. Now, I haven't opened my SQL in a long while. So let me look for it, open it, and I can't remember the name of my server. Okay, so I'm gonna open it and copy that server from there. Okay, right, this is all I need. The server name, which is this one here. I always forget exactly how I have it, so I don't need that any further. I'm gonna close that up, and then we can, paste the name of that server here. Now it's asking for the database, which is optional, so I'm not going to concern myself too much with that. Now, data connectivity type, there is import, there is direct. I believe there's one other one as well. maybe composite. I can't remember what it is. Okay. So most of the time you use direct for SQL server base, database rather. So I'm going to okay that. Okay. And it has connected with my SQL. It's opened up the tables that I can find within it. Okay, so it's now left to me to expand and see which of the databases tables I actually require. Okay, so it could be that I need just a few columns from Debbie Enterprise, or if I'm picking employee table, or if it is the interview table. Let us not when there's quite a popular one for studying data analytics. So I'm going to pick just a few tables. Others, let's look for, I think, yeah, other details, products, and you can see a preview of, each of the tables like we are quite used to anyway in this navigator pane, okay? So that's one way to do it. You can decide to load, transform, however you want to do it. Depends on what you want to achieve, and just pick like that. With SQL, just have the name of your server, without a mistake, without making a mistake on it. That is one way. Now, if you are good with writing SQL queries, okay, rather than bringing all the tables in, if there's a particular, maybe you just want the top 10 customers, sales-wise, you just want to access the top 10 customers in a sales table within an SQL environment, okay? And you don't want to bring the whole table in, okay? So if we do that again, under advanced, so I'm going to put that there. Now, where it says advanced here, you can open that up and write a select statement. Maybe you want to just select top 10 uh, top 10 customers with the highest sales. So if you are comfortable writing this SQL statement, you can just easily access exactly what you want, and of course, you have to have a knowledge of what is within that database as well. So you have to have opened the database and, seen what is there before you come here and just write it. And it just, picks exactly what you need without you having to bring what you don't need, in. So I just thought that is necessary to point out. Okay. Analysis service. I'm not sure what analysis service are, but it's saying live connect or import data from SQL Server analysis services. Now, when we were on SQL, we saw two connectivity modes. Okay. There's what we call import, and there's what we call direct query. So direct query is used to get live data sets. The explanation behind it is that when you import data into your Power BI desktop, you are physically importing, like physically bringing the data in. But when you are direct querying, you are not necessarily bringing the whole data in. You are just connected to the data. So it's like the way I would visualize that is like, rather than if you have a bottle of water, rather than you bringing the whole bottle and drinking directly from the bottle, like that's import. I would say direct query would be you've got a straw which you're using to draw from the water, the source, which is the water from the bottle. That's the way I understand those two connectivity mode. So which you would use depends on how often you need your data to get new data in. Okay. If the kind of work you're reporting on must constantly get live data, for example, maybe say Tesco, you want to report every 30 minutes or every 1 hour, you must create a certain report that shows what's happening across the country. Okay. You may want to connect by direct query. But if you don't need that constant refreshing, constantly being connected to the source for live query, like you want the report as it's happening, it must be reported as it's happening. If that's not the case, then import is your go-to. Import as a data connectivity mode is more popular, you would find, than direct query. But like I said, it's all dependent on what you actually needs to achieve. So I thought that I needed to speak a bit on that. Now, text, I was on analysis services, but there's an explanation. It says live connect or import data from SQL analysis services. Okay. So there's different SQL servers. There's the one I opened before, which is the server management studio. There's the analysis services one as well. Okay, so let me click on it and see what it gives us. Not very different from what we saw before. It's asking for the server name, and if you want to, write queries. In this case, it's calling the query MDX or DAX query, to connect to. But importantly, you must have your server name. Let me put this. It says you can also enter a port number. Excuse me. So if you don't have a server name, if you have the port number, you can use that as an alternative. That's how that works. Text file is just like Excel workbook where you just want to connect to, instead of an Excel workbook now, it would open CSV files that you can connect to and bring in. So you just pick the one that you want and open and just, connect to it and bring it in from your folder. Now, the web. Sometimes you may need data from the web, okay? There's something I opened up. Let me see. I opened something up for world population, okay? So let's say we are writing a report on world population, and I just went on Google and searched world population. I'm hoping again that we'll be able to get this in the format that Power BI would be able to consume it. Okay, so I've just copied the URL, for this particular work. Okay, so we're doing analysis on web population, and I need to connect to somewhere on the net where I can constantly, get that information where it's well updated with time. Okay, so open the website up, copy the URL, choose the web option, and it's asking you to put the URL in here. So I'm just going to paste, and I'll okay that. Okay, so it's asking me, this is what I was talking about. If it is anonymous, Windows, optional, all of those, Let me use anonymous in this case. It doesn't matter. Okay, but for work, of course, you need organizational. All right. And if you click down here, there's quite a lot more option. I want to check by countries. So I'm picking the by countries option, and I'm connecting. And now let's see what we will get. Okay, it's bringing us the navigator. Okay, and there are Like I said before, there are formats that may not be consumable. So, but luckily for us, we've got a table format, okay? You can see the country's population and other information. If I click on the HTML code, okay, we should be able to bring this in as well, okay? Because I believe there is an HTML as well as JSON function, within Power BI. But this is not the format that we need, okay? Displayed text, this is not what I need either, okay? So what I need is a tabular form that I can easily work with. And that's the one that I will load, okay? So if you need more work on it, of course, transform data first is what you should be doing, okay? But in this case, I'm just gonna load because it's just for illustration, just to show us how to use those data source options to get data into our Power BI. And there's the old data feed, open data feed, Sometimes data sets are put on the web somewhere where they are called open data. Example is the popular Northwind. We've seen Northwind data when I was talking before, and I believe we'll work on it at some point. It's quite popular to use for teaching and learning purpose, for us, whether you're learning in Excel or in Power BI. And it's not very different from the web option. When we click on OData, and it's asking for the URL. Did I drop the URL in the chat? Did I remember to do that? Because I meant to. I didn't, okay. Can someone copy from WhatsApp and drop it in the chat for us, please, very quickly? I'll drop the link for it on the data platform. I hope these people have been moved to BA. Is anyone able to drop that link in the chat for us, please? Thank you very much, Mr. Isaac. So I'm just gonna copy. Thank you. And paste it there. Okay. And this should connect us to the popular Northwind. Again, it's asking for which level, of should we say security? Doesn't matter. For work, of course, organizational is what you would be using. Okay. And we see different levels here. I'm going to go to the last one and connect. And you see there's so many tables, alphabetical list of the products, which is how a proper database for any retail company should look like. You should have a list of the products that you sell and further information about them. If you look at this particular data set, it says product ID, the product name. So chai is product ID 1, and supplier ID 1 supplies it to us. The category it belongs to, the quantity per box or per unit price, units in stock, and so on and so forth. Category name, the category it belongs to. Okay, then we have the actual categories table, the different categories of products they sell, beverages, condiments, and so on. Okay, this is how, and on the category table, we have category ID as well. Something very quickly that I'm going to branch a bit into how we were saying about primary key and foreign key. Can you notice that category ID is here on the categories table? Okay, so while it's on this categories table, it's quite unique. There's no repetition. Beverages, category ID 1, condiments 2, confections 3, and so on and so forth. So on here, we expect category ID to be unique all through, however many rows this might have, okay? And that makes this category ID a primary key when it is within the categories table. But when we saw it on the alphabet list products, alphabetical lists of products, okay, can you see category ID is here? It is no longer unique because we are on something you can call a product table in its own way. This is a product table. It's just been listed alphabetically, okay? So on here, category ID now acts as a foreign key, no longer a primary key, which it was acting as here. The purpose of that ideology is so that when we do our analysis, as we create our data model, try to relate all these tables to each other, alphabetical list of products as a table can communicate or relate with categories table, okay? So we can use this category ID column, which is common to both tables, where this is the one side of the table of the relationship, because category ID is appearing once here. It's not duplicated. So this is the one side, and we can use it to relate to categories ID here. This would then be the many side for the relationship between these two, because we can see category ID is quite duplicated a lot, you know, here. I just thought to quickly, you know, chip that in because I saw the opportunity, okay? But the major aim of showing this was just how you could connect to an OData feed as a data source, okay? And you can pick as many tables. We are going to visit Northwind. Maybe that's what we will analyze next, okay? And pick only the ones you would need. There's quite a lot of tables here. Not everything would be relevant. It depends on the kind of report that you are trying to create, okay? So if it's something to do with KPIs, you will need your orders, okay? You will need probably the order details. If employees and customers are relevant, most of the time they are. If products are relevant, most of the times they are, and categories of products, you know, products table, if they are relevant, okay. If region is relevant, or countries, is there countries? There is no countries, okay. What else could we bring in? Okay, shippers, the shipping companies that they use, the regions, the territories, you can decide to bring those in, okay? And either load or transform, depends on what you are trying to achieve. I'm just going to click load because we are not analyzing this just yet, okay? And that's how you connect to an OData feed. Can you see that connecting to the web is quite similar to connecting to OData feed, because all the open data is it's data set that's on the internet actually, okay? And the beauty of using that is that as the data is updated on the web, your report is getting, when you refresh your report, it gets the updates, you know, as well. That's just the beauty of it, compared to if it was sat within your folder and you are not updating it yourself, okay? And then we have the blank query. We have used blank query to create tables like, why did that? Okay, we have used blank query to create date table a couple of times, okay? Blank query, as the name implies, is blank. It just went straight into the Power Query editor, which is all right because that's where we have the advanced editor anyway. So the report is blank, nothing in it. This is where if you have a code, we have a Power BI date table code, I believe, which I will share again. Because most of the steps that you use to create and clean up a table are stored as code within your advanced editor. How I use this right, because it's quite still blank. And you see, it says let source. You know, we don't have anything, so there's nothing there. Let source equals in source, and that's it, nothing. Okay, so all you will do is, let's say you have a report you have worked on before. There's a particular table there that you have cleaned, you have done everything, and you have another report, and that table is relevant to this report. You don't want to do the hard work of going to start that cleaning and whatever all over again. You can open your old report, just copy the advanced editor, everything that's in the advanced editor of that old one that you did, and just come and paste it in your new report, and everything within seconds. Work that could have taken you a couple of minutes or even an hour, within seconds is done. That's the beauty of the advanced editor, you know, if you know that, okay? But what I would use to quickly show us, let me stop share very quickly and get and copy that date table code. I want to stop share because I'm going to need to search it out, and I'm not sure if it's in a good format. In case it's not, if I believe I've shared it a couple of times before. So if you have it as well, can you please help get it out? Power BI date table code. I have it in a Word document. What? Did I? Okay. Okay, I think I can share my screen very quickly. We are going to finish in a second now. Where is my share button? Okay, now I found the code. This code was made by someone else. It was just shared by many. And we keep sharing and sharing. Okay, can you see? It says let function date table equals, it starts from wherever you would command it to start from and end wherever you would ask it to end. Now, you don't need to understand this as long as it is correct, it's not wrong. Okay, so all I'll do is pick all of it, Control A to pick all of it, Control C to copy. I've copied all of that, and I'll go back into my advanced editor and copy over what we have here, Control V. Okay. And this is because I'm using it to make a date table. This is a date table code, you know, that you can use and modify however you want. Okay. So I'll click on, thank God it's saying no syntax error here. If there was a syntax error, you will need to find it, fish it out. And I believe it would tell you where it is anyway. But that is done. And now we come up with this parameter. It's telling me to enter what my start date should be. Let's say that for this report, I want it to start from 01/01/2026, let's say, pardon me. And because I want, I'm going to be using this data into the future, maybe up to the end of 2027, I can say 31/12/2027. Okay, it's asking me for the financial year. Most of the financial countries use April as the start of their financial year.
2027, ma. Our 2027.
Thank you. Yes. If you use January, but we will use April as well. And it says we can invoke it. That word, only God knows, but let's invoke it anyway. And there we have it within seconds, okay? I'm going to take this out because I don't want to be showing it. Now you see that within that code, all of these columns were written in it. We just didn't take time to study it. Okay, it says we commanded it to start the date from 1st of January 2026. And if I sort this to the last, you will see that the last date there is 30th of it should be 31st, but yeah, 30th of December 2027. Okay. So And then it's gone on to give us the year, quarter of the year, month number. Normally I would change this to month number. It says month of the year, dates, integer, is what I call that. I don't know what the owner of the code mean by int. When I say integer, it's just combined like 2026-0101, combined all of the numbers within the dates together without the slash. Month name, I just call this month. If you want, you can make the short month from it. Month in calendar, I'll just call this month and year. Those are the modifications I do to it when I use it. Okay, but you can modify it to suit you. It even has all the week ending, week starting, day of the week, that's dates, you know. So we, as an habit, we use it here for our dates. This is not the only way that you can create date table, by the way, but it's one of the ways, versatile ways that we use. And it's called invoked function. So we can rename that dates table or dates table. There we go. Okay, so that's how I'm going to close an app. That's what 2 ways I've shown us how to use blank query, or that I have used it, learned to use it, that I find, you know, it makes life so easy if you just understand that. I'll just get some work I've done before. If I need it again, instead of starting all over again, I'll copy the advanced editor code within it and just paste, and I'm done, you know, and I can face other things, you know. But today I'm going to let us go now. We've seen how to bring Excel workbooking, Power BI semantic model, data flows. We couldn't reach Dataverse, but we reached SQL Server, analysis server, very, very similar to SQL Server. Text file, we know. How to get data from web, we know. Open data feed, we know. Blank query, we know. The only other thing I believe we may need is SharePoint. I'm not too sure we have SharePoint. I think we do. We do have SharePoint. So we'll try and check SharePoint out with the different options of SharePoint, because you'll be using that a lot at work. With these few points of mine, I hope it's not too vague, you know, how to get data from various sources into Power BI, because that's the beauty of Power BI is you can get data into so very many sources. There are some sources that are not that straightforward. Some, you know, third-party products that don't necessarily comply with Power BI that well. You have to look for some ways around it, but there is always a way around it, you know. Any questions at all before we call it a night?